It's Friday night at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. The cameras are still rolling, the hot mic is still hot, and Stephanie White is walking to the post-game podium. Behind her, on national television, in language the broadcast had to bleep, Tiffany Hayes had just told Caitlin Clark to get her face out of hers. Final score, 90-82, 3 nights until Chase Center. The microphones turned to the head coach. And on the question of Caitlin Clark, the player Stephanie White was hired in November of 2024 to coach, the player Indianapolis built this team around, the player a 36-year-old Valkyries veteran had just threatened on a live broadcast. Stephanie White said nothing about it. Watch what Stephanie White says about her own players. Praise for Tyasha Harris. Praise for Aaliyah Boston. And on the question of the player her franchise built everything around, 3 nights before Chase Center. Silence. Thursday, May 28, 10 p.m. Eastern, Chase Center, San Francisco. Tiffany Hayes, on her home floor. The hot mic exchange, still trending. The threat that Hayes reportedly co-signed on social media in the hours after the game, sitting in every sports feed in America. And the Indiana Fever head coach has not used her platform, not once in 36 hours, to say her star player's name in defense. That's 3 nights. That's the number that should be running across every Fever fan's mind right now. Because here's the part people miss. The job of a head coach isn't only to draw plays, it's to draw a line between the player she was hired to coach and the threats coming at her. Stephanie White had a microphone Friday night. She has had multiple media windows since, and the line hasn't been drawn. Pull up Stephanie White's Friday post-game remarks. Listen carefully. She praised the team's effort. She talked about the defensive adjustments in the third quarter, the higher pickup points, the corner traps that forced 22 Valkyries turnovers in the second half. She talked about the bench. She talked about Aaliyah Boston's 20 and 16. She talked about Tyasha Harris, who started her first game in a Fever uniform and finished with 7 assists in 29 minutes. But here's what changed everything. Caitlin Clark had just finished with 22 points, 9 assists, 4 of 9 from 3, and a logo dagger in Tiffany Hayes' face. Stephanie White was asked specifically about Clark's performance, and the head coach pivoted to the team, to the defense, to the offensive flow, to anything but the player whose face had just been used as a target on national television. You don't accidentally do that. You don't accidentally pivot away from the name of your star 3 times in a row at the same podium. Friday wasn't the first time. May 15th, the Mystics game. Caitlin Clark finishes 32 points, hits 5 threes in the fourth quarter, drains a buzzer beater to tie the game. Stephanie White at the podium afterward asked about Clark, pivot to team effort. May 20th, the Portland game that became national news for a different reason. Clark scratched 90 minutes before tip with a back injury that wasn't on the Tuesday report. White at the postgame, I'm not a doctor. May 22nd, Friday, Hayes hot mic. White at the postgame, silence on Clark, praise for everyone else. 3 games, 3 pressers, 3 pivots, same hand on the wheel every time. And the same person on the floor. Caitlin Clark, age 24, with a back, a hot mic threat, and a head coach who keeps finding other names to say. So, who actually stepped between Caitlin Clark and the Valkyries on Friday? It wasn't the head coach. It was a veteran forward named Maisha Hines-Allen. She's new to this team. Came over on a 1-year veteran deal in the offseason. And by the third quarter of Friday's game, she was the one sprinting onto the floor when contact got heated. The one positioning herself between Clark and trouble. The one fans across YouTube are now calling, and this isn't language we made up. This is what the comment threads are saying. The Bodyguard. One viewer wrote it as cleanly as anyone could. Caitlin's bodyguard came sprinting out on the floor when that happened. She is always right there when Caitlin needs her. 57 likes on that comment by Saturday morning. Indianapolis had already given Hines-Allen a nickname, before the Fever organization had said a single public word about any of it. That's the part this audience is noticing. The protective duty Friday night didn't come from the bench. It came from a player who's been on the roster a matter of days. The hot mic was Friday's headline. What reportedly happened next is what turned the news cycle. According to Outkick, AOL, and the WFMD regional affiliate, 3 outlets carrying the same reporting, Tiffany Hayes engaged with fan posts on threads in the hours after the game. One fan wrote, in reference to Hayes' exchange with Clark, that he had been ready to support your crash out. Crash out? The slang implies support for a physical attack. Outkick noted carefully that the fan didn't explicitly name Clark in the post. that the co-signing framing is interpretive, not direct fact. But Hayes reportedly engaged with that post. Hayes also reportedly wrote that same night, "My growth is a gift and a curse, but mostly a gift." Outkick reached out to the WNBA, asking whether the league plans to review. And in the 36 hours between that reporting and Tuesday morning, through every media window, the head coach of the player at the center of all of it has been in front of a microphone. Stephanie White has not said one public word about any of it. Kelly Krauskopf hired Stephanie White on November 1st, 2024. Amber Cox was already in place as chief operating officer. The hire was supposed to bring in a coach who understood Indiana basketball and understood specifically how to manage a generational star. Because Stephanie White knew exactly what that job looked like. She was Tamika Catchings' teammate from 2001 to 2004. She was Catchings' first-year head coach in 2015, the year the Fever wrote the management protocol that capped Catchings at 26 minutes a game, that publicly framed a back injury as nagging, that protected the body of the franchise's most important player at every single press conference. Stephanie White ran that protocol. She knows what it sounds like when a head coach defends a star. And on May 22, 2026, with a hot mic threat still ringing in Indianapolis ears, with a Valkyries veteran reportedly engaging with fan posts about crashing out on her player, with 3 nights until that same Valkyries team gets Caitlin Clark on their home floor, the same coach who once wrote the book On This went silent. Thursday, May 28th, 10 p.m. Eastern, Chase Center. The Valkyries get the Fever in their own building. Tiffany Hayes will be ready. The home crowd will be ready. The officials will be reading a stat sheet that, according to the box score circulating since Saturday, has Clark drawing 5 personals plus a flagrant, plus a technical Friday, while Hayes drew 3. Caitlin Clark will be ready. Maisha Hines-Allen will be ready. The audience that already gave her a nickname will be watching. The one person whose readiness no one in Indianapolis has actually heard yet is the head coach. 3 nights out, Indianapolis is waiting on one sentence from the woman who runs the bench, Caitlin Clark's name, in her mouth, in her player's defense, out loud, on the record. So far, nothing.